Hey, good evening. You've got Group Two here presenting on hire. David Bain, Mason Bhatia, Matthew Cobia, Alex Robertson, and myself. So we'll go ahead and get into the agenda for the presentation. So we'll take a look at the company profile, key innovation processes, strategy and innovation, and then propose some innovation improvements at the end. So we'll be taking a look at Hire Company today. So Haier was founded in 1984, headquartered in China, most well known for home appliances like ovens, stoves, refrigerators, and now they've pivoted into further electronics. Tagline is more creation, more possibilities. So even for kind of a more mundane industry, they've been able to be innovative and branch out. I think I lost the share there, David. I can't see it on my screen. Sorry. Yep, we'll just keep going. So some of the yeah, looking at the company profile, here's kind of a timeline of their journey over time. You can see they were founded in 84 as a refrigerator company, pivoted to air conditioning in 91. So also initiated the Rundon Yahi model in 2005, and then pivoted to other industries like air railways, smart appliances, smart manufacturing for automobiles in the late 2010s. So their culture has changed over time, as you can see in the early days, selfless devotion, nonstop excellency, and more recently, more of a trusted ecosystem as they've interacted more with customers, built that trust up over time, and a win-win evolution now, kind of pivoting to blockchain and more innovative technologies to better interact with customers. So we can pivot to the leadership and culture. So company was founded by Mr. Zhang Rumen in 1984. He retired in 2021. He was very well known as a customer-centric individual and a radical disruptor. You can see him here in the picture smashing a refrigerator. So he wasn't satisfied with the quality of refrigerator in China at the time. He was most well known for pioneering the RDHY model. And some of the cultural touch points of that model or facets of the model are zero distance with customers, decentralization, and disintermediation. It's got a human value focus, so it's really focused around what employees in the model put in. You kind of get out what you put in, for lack of a better way to say it. And then entrepreneurial spirit. So setting up autonomous units that are empowered to kind of go their separate ways and add value to the system. And like any innovative process, collaboration, exploration, and then they have a compensation structure to match the kind of innovative setup there. So now I'll pass it over to Alex for more on their innovative processes.
Yeah, thanks, John. And they were happy to move one for a slide further forward. So just to really to dive into this Randan Hee or RDHY, I like that shortening of it. So the model is really unique and or innovative, and what it does is really help understand why Hire have been able to be as innovative as they are, because ultimately it's not a culture or a set of values that you just slap on the wall. It completely reimagined how the company is organized and ultimately how it creates value. So as we see on the diagram here, the REN really represents the employees, specifically the entrepreneurial employees who operate not as corporate workers, but as owners in their own micro enterprises. The DAN, which is the user value, every ME or micro enterprise exists to serve a specific defined user need, not a market segment, not a product category, a real zero distance relationship with actual users. And the HE, the alignment between these two, the employee's compensation and success is directly tied to the value they create to the user. There's no separation between what's good for the employee and what's good for the customer. What this produces is, in practice, is a company with over 80,000 employees that behaves like a network of a 4,000 plus startup. Each ME sets its own strategy, hires its own team, and earns based on what they delivered. It's not a salary, grades, or hierarchy approach. The traditional management assumptions of a large company need this central control to stay coherent. Hire's bet was ultimately the opposite. That if you align employee incentives tightly enough to the user value, coherence takes care of itself. In terms of assessing this, the model, I think the creative framework really applies well. The RDHY is absolutely customer focused. It's absolutely risk taking. It's experimental. There's openness and then there's velocity. Hire ultimately doesn't just check the boxes. It made every one of these a core principle for its structure moving forward. So if we bump onto the next slide, This is a really good graphic that captures what I think is the single most important thing when it comes to understanding how Hire innovates differently from almost every other large company in the world. In the traditional organization on the left-hand side here, we see essentially what is the cone that we discussed in class upside down. Leadership sits on the top, strategy flows down through the layers of management. By the time it reaches the front line, the people actually closest to the customers, it's been filtered, diluted, delayed, and whatnot. Hire ultimately flipped this cone or even almost flattened it in this diagram on the right. Under the RADHY, the users sit on top. Every micro enterprise organization itself organizes itself around the specific user needs. Strategies don't flow down, it emerges upward in real time based on user data. Leadership roles ultimately shifted fundamentally from directing to enabling, from telling MEs what to do to creating the platform and condition for them to succeed. When you flip this cone, and ultimately what Hare were able to do was increase their speed to market, increase the accountability, and ultimately increase the scalability of entrepreneurship of their employees.
So, hey everyone, I'm Matt, and I'm going to be going over the strategy and innovation. So, next slide. So, right now, all employees, they all have three rights, and it's all structured. So, all 80,000 employees, they're in their MEs or micro enterprises. And while they're in these micro enterprises, they have the right to decide. So they set up their own strategy, and there's no middle management that they need to go and convince for approval. They have the right to hire, so they know who's going to work best in their team, what their weaknesses are, what their strengths are, and how they can help mitigate those. So each micro enterprise has their own right to hire, and then right to distribute. So their compensation, it's tied directly to the value created, not salary grades. So the people that are paid the most are the people that are creating the most value. So a great example for how this has gone and played out in the real world, GE appliances. So in 2016, they absorbed their GE appliances. Instead of going and taking the traditional setup that GE had, they immediately absorbed them and gave all of their employees the three rights right off the bat. They were given full autonomy and they could run as their independent MEs. So the end result was, since 2016, the GE appliances that they've acquired, their revenue has doubled since their acquisition. Next slide. So the marketplace of ideas. So their innovative process itself, it's never assigned from above. It always comes from the team. So any employee can pitch it. It doesn't matter who you are or where you are in the company. If the internal team isn't competitive enough, if they're not getting enough internal ideas, they'll bring out outside entrepreneurs, and they're invited to bid as well. Ultimately, they have their metrics. So internal winners, once they're validated by the data and they have a credible youth growth plan, it'll move on to the next stage where only the strongest ideas get funded. So it is a true internal market for innovation. And I will now be passing it on to Mason.
Yep, David, can you go back? Sorry. So we can see this in action with the creation of Casarte, which is one of Hire's premium brands, right? So no executive gave an order to build this luxury line. Instead, it was actually a team at the Innovation Design Center that they identified like an underserved segment, and then they won the internal bid, and they were able to build that brand from the ground up. So today we can see that Casarte is one of the leaders in China's premium market, but this is all because of the bidding process allowed for a bottom-up idea at Hire to get bypass traditional executives and some of that skepticism that may come with a top-down model. Next slide. And then so finally for strategy and innovation, Hire extends their sort of agile process outside their own walls through both the Hope and the Cosmo platforms that they have. So Hope is their open innovation portal. It essentially connects internal teams to over 2,000 plus global experts. This sort of allows Hire to solve some of their complex engineering problems at what they call internet speed by co-creating with their users and other researchers outside of the company during that design phase rather than waiting for feedback after they launch a product. Um, and then another way is through the Cosmo platform, which is how they revolutionize their manufacturing process. So this is an Internet of Things enabled platform that connects customer ready directly to the factory floor. It enables mass customization which is where user-specific requirements can kind of trigger like a unique production run in real time rather than, again, waiting for that unit testing and that feedback once they've launched a product. So the ultimate result of these processes is that Hire is able to turn innovation itself into a service. They sell this platform now to other companies as a revenue stream, and it's their own internal agile process that is creating revenue for them in the long run. Next slide. You're on mute.
All right. Hey, thanks so much, Mason. So for proposed innovation improvements, we're really going to take those innovative processes along with those innovative products from Hair and think about where they can go next. So with the Cosmoplat, we want to move from mass customization to predictive customization. Um, Cosmoplat currently enables mass customization, but it's still reactive. So customers here like define demand and the system responds. The next step is really predictive customization, where Hire should integrate their AI-driven demand sensing IoT usage, data, customer behavior, and external signals like weather and energy trends. This shifts the model from build to order towards anticipate and position, where Hire can pre-configure products and align supply chains ahead of demand. From an innovation standpoint, this extends Hare along the S curve into a data-driven advantage, not just process efficiency. The impact here is faster delivery, lower inventory risk, and better product market fit. For the next one, let's talk a little bit about micro enterprise, the scaling the micro enterprise autonomy to system level coordination. Really, when we talk about Renden Hii, it gives Hare the speed by empowering micro enterprises close to the user. The trade-off is fragmentation, including duplication and difficulty in scaling innovation. The recommendation is to introduce integration layers and not just hierarchy. These include shared data standards, customer insight platforms, and reusable technology components. This aligns with organizational ambidexterity, balancing exploration with the ability to scale and exploit successful innovations. The key is platform governance, not central control, so autonomy remains intact. The risk here is overstandardization, which could slow innovation. Next, we'll talk a little bit about expansion into regulated ecosystems. Hare's next move is into high-value regulated industries like defense, energy, and potentially training systems. This involves adapting Cosmoplat to support complex lifecycle systems, including digital twins, simulation, and potential sustainment platforms. This is adjacent innovation moving towards transformational, and this really is accomplished by applying Hare's platform and IoT capabilities into a new domain. The upside is higher margins and stronger barrier to entries, but the risk may be regulatory complexity and long acquisition cycles, which require ecosystem alignment across multiple stakeholders. And as a honorable mention, we did talk a little bit about the Gore inspired pieces of this, which Matt hit on a little bit earlier, and that's really about thinking about extending Renden Hii by allowing micro enterprises to compete for talent and funding based on user traction and internal support. That's definitely something they could continue to play on, which Matt hit on pretty well. All right, that concludes our presentation for this innovative company. We've gone over their innovative processes, their innovative products, and some recommendations that they could take on for some innovations moving forward with the company. Really appreciate you listening to our presentation, and we're ready for any questions.
Go ahead and probably stop the recording.